Hello, everybody. A bit of an impromptu stream today for obvious reasons. In case you don't know, I'm sure you do by now. Today is the day that Lorne's 6-month sentence ends and he's out of prison. So last time he was out of prison, the reason I titled the stream what it is because someone made a video that said just when you thought it was safe to go back on the internet, or it was in the comments of a video, and it was mentioned in one of Lorne's lawsuits. He actually screenshot the video and the comments that were written underneath, and someone said, just when you thought it was safe to go back on the internet. And he sort of took that as a sort of a reason for him to claim he was being bullied and wronged, and it was just hilarious. And it was like highlighted as a just a copy and paste job, a screenshot in one of his crazy lawsuits, which... Oh, the amount of entertainment this human being has given us is just more than Jim Carrey, really, isn't it? The reason Jim Carrey popped into my head then is because me and Tiff were talking about the Truman Show before, and how Lorne's life is a little bit like that. How it's just too crazy to be real. Anyway, without further ado, let me introduce my usual Lornography experts. Mr. Shins Koala, hello, sir.
Hi, sir. Hello, everybody.
And Tiffany Lockhart is here, who will no doubt be getting some kind of messages very, very soon, one would imagine.
Have that phone handy.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, I got it. It's ready to go.
I mean, so what are we expecting that... do you know what hit me before when we were talking about doing this? I was just thinking... Just think about this, right? Some random guy who is just a bit of a nobody, who committed a violation offence, has got out of a prison, and we're doing a stream about it. It's like nothing remarkable about this, is there? But yet to us, it's like, oh my god, we've got to do a stream, fucking hell, Lorne's out. It's like, it's such a fucking weird situation, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, nobody understands it.
Very, very weird.
A colleague came in earlier and said, asked for help for something. I said, listen, I can't. I'm just out of sorts today. You got a pedophile coming out of jail. I'm sorry. I can't work.
They're even giving me the day off when it's Lorne's birthday, Lorne's Day. I get it off at work now. It's considered a national holiday for me. It's pretty cool.
And I think somebody else too. I think there's another country, New Zealand today too, because Wine Lover sent something about that. So
it's celebrated all over the world. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, everybody, Lorne is out, as I'm sure you already know. So we're just gonna have a bit of a chat and kind of theorize about what's gonna happen. Is he in New Jersey? Prison in New Jersey.
Fort Dix, yes, but he, according to Guerrilla Spawn. His sources say that he was released at 8:51 this morning. So that Eastern time. So it's about 3:30 right now. So chances are he's home. Well, assuming he got a ride. I don't
he's
know.
Home.
Maybe he's hitchhiking. I don't know what he's doing. But that's a good initial question. Who would pick him up? I mean, obviously Mama Gwen's going to be there, but she couldn't make the drive herself. Who would go with her? Roy can't drive, though,
doesn't she? Mama Gwen does have a vehicle that Lorne nicked off her, if you remember.
Yeah, she does drive.
Yeah, I'm not sure she can make that drive though. That's like.
No, I was thinking that because we obviously saw firsthand that Mother Gwen is getting along. She is in her later years, and to put that strain on her, I don't think that.
I have a vision that Mama Gwen, Uncle Clay, and Aunt Sharon are driving him, and he is just getting an earful the entire time on the way up.
He wouldn't get an earful, though, would he?
I think he would, especially Clay, right? I mean, this guy's a no bullshit guy, from what I understand.
Yeah, but he wouldn't listen, would he?
No, I know, but he's still got to endure it, though. So that's what's funny to me. I don't know.
Do we know how he got home the first time?
How he what?
How he got home the first time.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think he was during that time. Some of the prison letters indicated that he got visits from his mother, I guess, but he was always insistent on her bringing somebody with him so she doesn't make the trip alone. So chances are, my guess is that the mother probably picked him up.
I don't know. That's a really long way to go.
I know.
I'm not sure that she would do that.
Didn't we work out there was like 7 hours drive?
Yeah, it's
about 7 to 8 hours. And certainly if he's going to be taking a bus, which I don't know, is that something that he would do?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people who leave prison who don't have any family at all or friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, they probably point him in the direction of the bus stop.
Actually,
well, there's always Tony too.
Oh, you think Tony's going to get off his ass for him? Really?
Right.
Yeah,
if he's going to get money for that, why not?
Oh, well, yeah. If he gets paid, sure. If there's something in it for him. But
yeah.
Out of the goodness of someone's heart, I think his mother is the only person that's left.
Yeah, he's not going to have a penny to his name. Literally, not going to have anything, is he? So the only person that he's going to be able to go to, someone's just checked it out on Google Maps. 7 hours 45 minutes. So he's gonna have a long day ahead of him. But he's going to have no one else to go to but his mum. She's the only person that's going to help him out. Because what do you think's happened to his trailer? Do you think he's going to be able to go back there?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know everything that's been going on since he went to prison, but just given by the impression that I have, the fact that his mom went to the hearing and was talking about paying the bills, I think his other aunt Sharon, who seems to have a bit of money, I think was taking care of paying for those things.
Wow.
So I think he'll go back. I don't think the trailer's been
he's really
foreclosed
lucky,
on or given to anybody.
He's very lucky, right? He's got this trailer. It's a decent area. It's a decent size inside for somebody who doesn't have shit. So he's gonna have somewhere to live. You know, his family are not going to make him go hungry. He's going to have food, and he still lives in a beautiful area. No doubt. I mean, what's the kind of sort of going off track a little bit here now? But because I've been there, I can picture myself. What would the weather be like now in Maine at this time of year?
It's actually not bad right now. I mean, I'm about as close as anybody else is right now, but right now it's about 39 degrees, so it's not that bad. Right. And my guess is up north, maybe chop off maybe 10 degrees or so. But yeah, it's going to be cold. I don't think if there's several scenarios I have in my head about the trailer. I think that, I've heard that maybe Roy's in it. I've heard that nobody's in it and it's not being maintained. But assuming that Roy is not in it, I don't think it'd be ready for him to move in right away. He's got to do a lot of work. He's probably got busted pipes. He's frozen pipes and everything else. I think he's going to go live with his mother for a week or two. That's my guess.
Do you think?
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of like his lead character in his book when he came back from Iraq. Sitting around smoking cigarettes.
I need to look at getting that book.
I know. I keep bringing that up.
It's so difficult to try and. I've got like a stack of books that I want to read, that I want to get through, and to actually give my free time to reading Lorne, it's something that I'm gonna have to really. It's a tricky one, isn't it? I could be learning or having an enthralling experience, but yeah, reading Lorne's book. Hey, Meb, how you doing, pal? Yeah, it's a funny one, but I'd love to read it, and it could keep us in content for a long time.
NTA made a good point. He needs a source of sympathy, and that would be his mom. I mean, who's going to visit him at his house? He doesn't want to. I don't think he wants to be alone. I would at least that kind of
demonstrated that quite clearly, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, he hangs around with Tony and Wendy, who he knows don't like him, just because he doesn't want to be alone. Which is like, it's nothing unusual. Not that many people revel in total isolation. Everybody likes a little bit of time to themselves, but mostly we are social creatures, and we are designed to feel down if we don't have a certain amount of human contact. So he's no different than anybody else.
Yeah.
Well, he is different than anybody else. I just meant that with regard to his,
But I think the only reason why he would want to go up on his own is so he could sneak drink, because if he's inclined to do that, I don't think his mother would allow that in her house for sure. So he would be restricted from violating probation again if he's there. But he'll find a way. Hi,
Yeah.
Gorilla.
I mean, there's something that we've not even considered, right? And you know what I'm like. I'm the eternal optimist when it comes to the human spirit. Sometimes. What are the chances that he's driving back thinking, I'm going to change? I almost had to start laughing at the end of my own sentence there because it's just ludicrous. It's not. There is I always believe that every human being has the potential to do the right
Yeah, I
thing
know that
and to
drives me crazy.
change.
I know. I'm kidding.
Everybody's got it within them. I truly believe it, but I don't. It's a decision, and I know that he won't make that decision because it would require an awful lot of courage and strength.
Work,
Yeah.
laziness is an issue, Um, but again, it would be the smart move for him to do, though, to move into his mother's place and to kind of make sure he's in a position where he can't fail for a while. But beyond that, he's got to go out job hunting. He's got to. I don't even know if he has transportation now. I mean, who knows what happened to that journey?
Yeah, who knows? But it could have been paid for by his family. That's sort of the, what was indicated to what's going to happen. I don't know if they did. I certainly wouldn't do it, and it sucks that they would have to. That's $600 a month. That's a huge expense.
Right. That's a hell of a thing to lay on somebody, especially when they're so poor. But he doesn't give a shit.
No, he doesn't. And I think that he is really pissed off right now. I don't think that he's thinking, how can I make life better? How can I, how can I change? How can I put things together so that I'm on the right path? I don't think he's thinking any of that at all. I think he's absolutely really pissed off, and he's looking at who did this to me.
Do you know what I was thinking, Shin, as well? Something occurred to me, because no doubt someone somewhere will contact him if he doesn't reach out to the usual people, Tiffany or whoever else. He's going to be wondering who was at his trial.
I know.
He's going to be wondering who me and you are.
I know. And who knows what his new catfish, whoever is giving him the information, what they could probably say. Maybe they'll say we were hitmen or something. Who knows?
Oh, the things that you could tell him that he'd actually believe that we was some kind of you could say that it was like entertainment scouts, and we were checking him out for like an idea for a new sitcom or a new film starring Sylvester Stallone, and he'd buy it, wouldn't he?
Right. We could be working with Sly's production company. We're just checking it out. See how he's going to do with what was that project, Tiffany, that he was supposed to do for Sly? Something to do with chair aerobics or something?
Yeah, it was some kind of an elderly exercise video.
I wish they filmed that.
Oh, the shit that guy's come up with. Frightening. What was his children's book that he did?
The Lost Kitten.
Yeah, The Last Kitten.
I mean,
well, he's done several, right? He's done more than one, right? I think
he's done more than one. Actually, when I'm going through these prison letters, there's the one in there that he says something about Percy and the Magic Pot. That sounds like a kid's book.
That sounds like he's plagiarized.
He's never mentioned it again. So I think it was something that he put in a package to his mom, and she probably threw it out, most likely. But he's never mentioned it again. But I would say that's probably another children's book.
You know why I think that might be right? He has now possession of all his prison letters that he sent to his mom.
Yes.
You know why? That's kind of weird. I mean, my mother, well, if I had a mother, she would be probably keeping the letters, maybe putting a bow around them. I don't know. It's not the highest point in my son's life, but at the same time, you kind of want to hang on to when you give them back to your son when he gets home.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And I'm sure that a lot of people already know this, but some of them weren't even opened.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Do you know how often she wrote him?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I know that he called her quite often because he mentions that pretty much in all the letters. I'm calling you tonight, and actually one of them that I'm going to be reading soon, he said something like, I was going to tell you this, but you were rushing me off the phone, so I forgot. So she didn't even want to talk to him.
Right. So the only correspondences she would have with him is sending him shit.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. He was always asking for stuff. Send me guitar lesson books. Send me, it was always something for her to do. Make sure you call for something, call for so that we can make sure my wallet is taken care of. It was a lot of directions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I this time around, I mean, you figured out what was going on the last time he was in there. Like, I was surprised to hear that he had his mother sending money to his cellmate's account on his commissary account.
Yeah, that's because he was being bullied.
Yeah.
Well, from what I understand, his cellmate was a white supremacist, and it sounded like it was protection money. Now, only Lorne would find a way to be shaken down in a protected pod and have to pay protection money. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he has let's just say a bodyguard or a protector this time around. I don't think his mother would be sending money for sure. But I have a feeling this stint might have been a little tougher for him.
Why'd you say that?
It could have been.
Less support from his family, mainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what do you mean less support, though? Because it'd be the same people that it'd just be his mum and his aunt. That'll be it. Nobody else gives a shit, do they? I think it's still the same as it's always been. Yeah,
I mean, if you think about it, they sent him... They really was his only connection to the outside world when he was in there before. And my guess is that he probably was sending the same amount of letters, but he wasn't getting the same amount of stuff that he wanted. He probably wasn't getting as much money and all this other stuff because they were paying his bills at home too. It wasn't like last time where they had to worry about that stuff. So chances are he was somewhat abandoned financially as far as that's concerned. And that's what really is, is coin in prison. So, I just have a feeling it might have been a tougher time for him this time.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope so, for various reasons, is we don't want him to have an easy ride. And, it's like I've said many times, we can revel in this guy's demise in a certain way, because it's all self-imposed, as we know. But we want people like him to sort themselves out, because people like Lorne who sort themselves out are less of a danger to society. If he sorts himself out, he's not drink driving, he's not taking money off the state, he's being a productive member of society. All he does now, the only positive thing Lorne has ever done is provide entertainment for us lot, which is pretty good within itself. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have met you guys and I wouldn't have gone to the States. It's a fucking crazy thing.
You may have never visited the United States if it wasn't for Lorne.
I know. I mean, I never planned on going. It's a crazy thing. I mean, it really is strange how this guy, how that situation has steered so many people's lives in a different... I mean, look at Bass Sharman and what he's doing with his channel and all that. And who's to say that he would have got into entertainment? And Mr. Gigi's a bit different. He wasn't solely focused on Lorne. But when Bass Sharman started out, all his videos were geared towards Lorne. It was all Lorneography stuff. And obviously he started branching out into TCAP. I wouldn't have... I know you said a bit differently, Tiff. Lorne didn't stand out for you specifically, but he did with me immediately. I'm not just saying that. He really did stand out above all of the other Predators just because of the how he seemed to be totally engrossed in... You didn't really see... I love you, I want to marry you. You didn't see that much of it with the other Predators, really. That's what drew me attention to him. It still does. I still, there's people doing, the Great Bapsby does some great videos about the chat log. You can still, that document, man, that's going to be analysed by scholars in fucking 500 years' time, I'm telling you. And there's still going to be finding, it's going to be like the Bible. It's no fluke. It's called, a holy document. There literally is untold treasures in that thing.
Well, how many times is it quoted just in conversation? It's quoted all the time. Not everything in there, but just even the things that Lorne says, the things that he's written. It's quoted all the time.
Yeah. And not just the chat log. The phone calls
Right.
are really good as well. I think that's something that gets
definitely.
overlooked. If you think about, the phone calls to Kayla that we've got, they're brilliant, aren't they? I mean, brilliant is
They
a
are.
weird way of putting it.
That's an interesting word. I
Yeah,
like that
it's
word.
isn't it weirder? You're finding, because it's a bit like when you say, "Oh, such a body is my favorite predator." It's like, what that mean? You have a favorite paedophile? How does that work exactly? You gonna walk round with a shirt of his face on it? I mean, ironically, Lorne tried to flog that. It's just, do you know? When I'm on my deathbed, someone could mention me if I'm like, hopefully it'll be a peaceful one, but let's just say I'm in a little bit of pain. All anybody will have to come up to me and say is the Lorne reality show, and I'll burst out into tears of laughter. Because
Yes.
I'll never, as long as I live, be able to grasp the fucking... There's no word to describe the idiocy and the hypocrisy and the ridiculousness of that guy trying to make a career of it on YouTube and whinging and complaining when someone mentioned the sting. It's just remarkable. Can you not let go of the past? Well, aren't you trying to make a living out of the past? Aren't you
Yeah.
contradicting yourself in your own words every time you fucking speak, man?
No, yeah, it doesn't matter how far the past is. There are some things that are always going to be memorable. There's some things that are always going to be legendary. I mean, you could talk about, Roger Maris is 61 in 61. You could talk, that was years ago, but it's still interesting, right? So Lorne's not going to be able to escape the interest in his case. He's not going to be able to escape the humor, which I think is going to transcend time. I think
He
generations
doesn't
from
get
now
the
on.
humour though, does he? He
Hmm?
doesn't understand why we find it amusing. He can't, which is understandable because he can't step outside of his own situation. It's like what we was talking about before when you talk about relationships and things. You get tunnel vision and you need somebody else's perspective. Lorne can't see it like we do. He can only see it from his own victim mentality. He can't step outside, which very few people have got the ability to do. It stems from him not having any empathy, doesn't it? He can't consider somebody else's perspective.
No, he's a
It's
monster.
disturbing as well.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's really weird. I was picked on as a kid, and everybody was at some point. And you see the kids laughing when you're being picked on, and you look at them, and you go, "It's not funny. Why are they laughing?" That's the same thing he's going through. So it's not anything new for sure. But when you're the butt of the joke, and people are laughing at you, it's hard to understand what is so funny. And I think that's just normal. And
Yeah.
yes, he is an ogre.
I mean, Tiffany, what do you think? Right, you know him for better or for worse quite well, shall we say? And in fact, can we just? I was on Facebook earlier, and you put a damning post about Lorne. I was like, wow, you fucking hate that guy's guts, don't you?
Well, there's certain things that I can see that will make my blood boil. And as much fun that we can have with Lorne and the stupid things that he says, the stupid ways he says them, the things he writes, the things he thinks about, it all boils down to the sting and what you can see his actions were there, the things that he wrote in the chat log that are so disgusting. And when you're watching the sting footage, somebody put something together, and it had to do with where he's saying, "Well, yell at me, why don't you?" And he's being flirty and trying to be cute. And he did this thing like with his tongue. Nobody's going to understand probably unless you see it. But it's when you have like, I don't know, sticking out his tongue a little bit at the end of what he's saying just to be cute. And watching that is so fucking infuriating because he's saying that to a kid who he thinks is a kid, who he thinks is a sure thing. It makes me so livid, and I see red, and it's like, I just want to take a shovel and smash it against the side of his head.
It's understandable.
I get so mad because I'm like, I fucking hate him. And there's nothing in the world that's going to make me feel bad or feel some kind of empathy and be like, you know what? He's just a person going through a hard time. We need to let him go about his life and everything, he's everyone struggles and he's just struggling too. And that's just not the case. He's a fucking disgusting pile of trash. And he deserves everything that has happened to him. I hope it continues. I hope he's humiliated every single last day of his life.
Yeah, but you love him anyway. Oh my God.
Oh my God. That's what you would say right now.
You hate that. You hate that. I know.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, just seeing that kind of stuff, seeing the way that he's speaking to Casey is so disgusting because you're like, you're a pig. You're an absolute fucking pig. This is what you were doing when you thought you weren't going to get caught. And look at what you're fucking doing. You know what I mean? That's what he wanted to do. That's what makes me so mad when he would say things like, I never even meant to do it. Or I didn't want to go there. They talked me into it. I was vulnerable. Does that look like somebody who is vulnerable? Somebody who's practically twirling to get inside that house?
Right.
Skipping all the way. Like, hey, girl.
Right.
Like, what the fuck, dude? What the fuck? And he actually,
that's good too.
Yeah, and he comes up with these excuses that don't even make any sense. Like the median is what made you go there. Are you serious?
And everyone's excuses evolve through time, though.
Yeah,
absolutely. He learned something and picked it up. I don't want to get into his child abuse allegations or anything like that, but that wasn't mentioned early. That wasn't mentioned when it would have been most helpful to him at a sentencing hearing, the original case.
Yeah.
The attorney would have definitely asked him about that because they need something to mitigate what he did.
Yeah.
So I'm sure.
Well, it's really I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
I think that, what makes him so fascinating is the efforts that he makes to justify everything that he does. I've never known anyone or I've listened to anyone who actually, every single thing that they do, they turn it around and point it at somebody else, and that's the reason why they did it.
You mean like he gets drunk because he wasn't told that he shouldn't.
Yeah, or that somebody likes Bad Boys or something, and that's why he goes and he drinks. It's so crazy.
He's a big quantifier. So if he's doing something wrong,
Armstrong's in the house.
Is it cool? He's a big quantifier. So if he does something wrong, like for instance, have you been drinking? Are you drunk? I only had a little. Or and he also quantifies on the other end too. On the other end, so are you cheating on me a little more? Was that a good enough? Was that a long enough look at it? Everything's quantified. So he works the other direction when he's called on them.
Yeah.
I didn't do it that much. Or look at this other guy. He did it a lot more than I did. So everything's graded like that for him. Everything's gray. There's no black and white.
Do you know what's really interesting as well? If you take into account his history and his failures and his kind of the attitude of the guy, where when he was in them last calls talking to you, Tiffany, and he was kind of imposing himself on you, like you should. He by right deserves a chance with you. That you should give him a chance to be with him and all this, and you're just thinking, what is? Where does that come from? It's like an arrogance there.
Well, he gave a reason for it. He gave a reason for it. He gave a reason for his entitlement. He said because Tiffany ruined his relationship with Winnie, or drove her away from Winnie, or drove him away from Winnie, or something like that. So now, guess what, Tiffany? You're stuck with him.
Right. Exactly. Yeah,
I mean, it's common. It's like I always like to remind people that even though Lorne's situation is unique, and he's a very unusual character, there's millions of entitled arseholes like him in the world who will never take responsibility, who will always blame other people, who will have this misplaced arrogance that defies logic. There is something different about Lorne that I've never been able to put my finger on about why we find him entertaining. It's like some of the other calls that we listen to. the Predator calls, like the Dustin ones and some of the others. It's like I'm just not interested in listening to them at all. It's like some of the Stanley stuff when all that was going on. I mean, some of it was a bit like too vile for my taste.
Bad boys. Sorry, I just read Clover's comment. It's pretty good.
But some of it was. But even listening to him didn't interest me. But with Lorne, I can't seem to get enough. It's very strange. Oh yeah, that's a good one. That when he said that he was drink driving because he thought that Tiffany liked bad boys.
Tiffany, you never told him that. I think somebody else told him that on your behalf, right? I think it was.
I don't even know if it was specifically even said.
I think Emma said it. I'm pretty sure. I thought I heard that. Well, she kind of like when she was trying to justify your relationship with Gigi or something.
Oh yeah, that definitely could have been it. Yeah.
But so he goes. So that's a hell of a justification. That's a hell of a good.
But he didn't even. It's not like he
excuse.
got in his car drunk because he was trying to impress. It's just something that rolled off the top of his head to try and justify his bad behaviour. It's like, oh, I did it to impress you, like you fucktard.
Next time, Tiffany, tell him a real bad boy would take the cops on a multi-state high-speed chase. Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, that would be great. Oh, by the way, how's the beach been for the last 6 months?
Great. I haven't been interrupted every 5 seconds with a stupid text message.
You know, I think a lot of people would like to know how that worked. How often would you get a call, and say out of every call, how many would you pick up when you were doing it?
I never picked up, actually.
Okay.
So in order for everything to work, the call would have to be made.
Okay.
So it definitely.
He could never reach out to you. Is that what you're saying? Or?
Yeah, I mean, he never called, and I would answer.
Okay.
Yeah, it was always.
Did he ever call and you didn't answer? That's what I was wondering.
Oh, all the time.
That's what. And approximately what was the frequency of that?
It was pretty frequent because he loved to leave voicemails of singing. And you guys have heard those, and you haven't even heard half of them. There's so many.
I'm so jealous
of him singing faithfully.
Yeah, you used
random.
to send them to me for a joke, and it wasn't funny.
Well, it is funny because you're not going to know that he's screaming until he starts screaming. Hopefully you have your speakers really, really loud.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of those people, I don't know, when cell phones are really shitty too. They'd hear a song on the radio while you're talking to them. They go, hey, listen to this song. And they put it right next to the speaker and it sounds like shit.
Yes, exactly.
That's what Lorne doesn't have any idea that even if his voice was good, it would sound like shit. The way he was doing it and screaming and over that device. You know?
Take It on the Run, REO Speedwagon. He loved that one too. Anytime those songs would come on, he would immediately call. He would immediately call. And the reception was usually really bad. And even if it was in the middle of a guitar solo, he would wait for the guitar. So you had to sit through that too. Yeah, it was it was pretty good.
Would he call you, say, during ungodly hours? Like when you say 4 o'clock in the morning, something like that. Would he ever do things like that?
Well, he would, just because I'm not on the East Coast. So he definitely would call. Yeah, he would start calling when he would go to work. And so that would be pretty early in the morning. And he thought, obviously, that I'm in Florida. So. And
the favorite message was on his way to get hooked up when he left a message for you.
Oh, that was great. Yeah.
I love that message.
He even sang on that one too.
That's right. And he was so happy and giddy. He had no idea what was going to happen.
He was like, oh, great. I'm going to see Maria. What a joy. Dancing in the Moonlight is the worst one that I've heard. So, in case anybody was curious about that.
I'm not crazy about that song anyway.
Yeah, it's horrible.
So a bad song will be made even worse by Lorne. That's.
Yeah, definitely.
It doesn't even bear thinking about. So, do we have any predictions for the next few months for Lorne's shit show of existence?
I want to hear from Tiffany. She would know.
Well, I think as far as making contact, do you mean, or how do you think his life's
just
gonna be?
What's gonna? I mean, not that I'm kind of answering my own question in a way, because there's not that much going on in his life. I would imagine he'll get work. He'll start hanging around with Tony again. He'll start drinking. He'll be drink driving. There will be a catfish. He'll be reaching out to them. They'll be reaching out to him. There'll be hilarity. There'll be, hopefully, no tragedy where an innocent person is involved. But
right,
it'll just be a continuation. You know, what do you think?
well, that's the thing. It's just going to be a continuation, because, you know, when you think in terms of like when somebody gets into trouble, and it's enough shock to their system, that they're going to say, okay, I need to really get my life together. I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want my family to go through this kind of stuff. I need to just follow the rules, and then everything's going to be just fine. But Lorne doesn't think of it in terms of that. He thinks about, how am I not going to get caught?
Yeah,
So
he doesn't realize he hit rock bottom.
Well, that's because he hasn't hit rock bottom.
Well,
He hasn't. That hasn't happened yet, and you know that's going to show up for people in a lot of different ways. You know, everyone's going to be different. Some people, I think most people, could never live through what Lorne's lived through. It's so ridiculous. They would never be in that position. Yeah. And even just the fear of getting arrested like that would be enough to deter their behavior. But for someone like Lorne, he thinks that he is smarter than that. And if he gets caught, then he's going to be smarter about it the next time. So it's definitely not a matter of him, you know, really wanting to straighten his life out. That doesn't really exist as far as Lorne is concerned. He doesn't see the world that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
unfortunately,
if I were in his position, I'm trying to imagine that, but if I was in his position, I would just I'd live a beautiful life up there. I'd live a hermit life up there. I would stay the hell away from the internet.
I'd love to retire around an area like that. I mean, it's nice to have experienced where he lives, because I can put a little bit of perspective on his situation. Now, the thing is, what you got to remember is, we all have things in life to be grateful for, all of us, but sometimes you get lost in your own problems and you can't see what's in front of you. You take for granted your blessings. We all do it, some more than others. I'm guilty of it all the time. But he lives in a beautiful part of the world. He's never going to starve to death. He's got his health mainly. You know, he's able-bodied. I was going to say he's of a sound mind then, but you've said yourself, Tiff, he's reasonably resourceful, isn't he?
He is. He's definitely, to a degree, he definitely is. I mean, he's always thinking about something. Even he's the worst kind of, a traveling salesman that always has a gimmick. They're always thinking about the sale. It's going to be shit, and it's probably not going to go anywhere. But when you think about his prison experience, what did he do? He wrote books. He started working out. He was thinking about lawsuits. Undoubtedly.
Good point.
Yeah, playing guitar. He's going to be in a band. And, even this time when he is sitting in jail, and think about how ridiculous this is. His mother drove an hour to bring him money. I think it was somewhere between $40 and $60.
This is up in Maine when he was in Maine.
Up in Maine, yeah, when he was still just at the jail.
Right.
And he spent all of the money in one day on the phone with Winnie. And he doesn't even call his mom, of course. He's not doing anything.
Employer.
Right. And so he was just bullshitting. You know, it was more important for him to hear comments that people were making on the videos when he was reading his chat log. It was more important for him to talk about cod stock, because that was absolutely his idea.
That's on.
Yeah, it was definitely more important for him to. I think we're all going. I think it's more important for him, to do that kind of stuff. So he's going to be thinking, even when he was down in Nashville, he was doing things to make money. He always has some kind of a money making.
Yeah, he kind of has the ideas and he gets going on them, but doesn't have the discipline and the conviction to see his projects through. I mean, look at the Betty situation. He got a crew together, took on the job, put on his charm to get it, manipulated an old woman, and then as soon as it got tough, he fucks off. I think that's his thing is he runs, doesn't he, from his problems. He runs away. He doesn't face things head on at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Tiffany called him on it perfectly. She said, "Look, you're the guy in charge of the money. You're the guy in charge of the project.
Yeah.
It's up to, it's on you, whoever you hire.
Ultimately, the CEO is responsible if a company goes bankrupt.
But here's the thing, though. Even if, say I got a job like that and my guys didn't show up, I'd show up at least. I would be there doing what I could to do what I could on my own.
It's funny. I was just this is slightly unrelated, but I'll tell it anyway. There was a game called No Man's Sky, right, that was released, big AAA title on the PlayStation about 4 years ago. I was so looking forward to it. It was like a infinite space exploration game. And they went on E3. These guys, they went on a chat show in the States. Said it was going to be great. Said it's going to be multiplayer. Said it's going to be fantastic. And it was released, and it was appalling. I mean, they just every feature that they said was going to be in it wasn't in it. The developer, a guy from Ireland, got death threats. The company got ridiculed online. It was one of the most interesting PR disasters of all time. And the video games industry is worth billions. And this company went into hiding for 3 months, and they made a lot of money. And what they decided to do was, the developer, he was getting death threats. It was terrible for his family. He had young children. They were saying he was a liar. And he did say a lot of things which weren't true. Him and his company had made all the money. They went into hiding, and they redeveloped the game from the ground up, released all these updates, and now they've completely turned around the fortunes of the company. They had no obligation to do that, but because they did it, because they felt a sense of obligation, and they didn't want to be known as someone who takes people's money. They did it for the right reasons, because they had integrity. Mm-hmm. And that is something that Lorne has not one shred of. Not 1 ounce in his body. There isn't a trace of it.
No, there's no sense of responsibility. I mean, I can imagine that Betty would have felt a lot better to at least hear him pounding nails in the back. Somebody. But to actually have no one show up at all and then skip town.
Well, you put it very well, Shin. All he had to do was turn up himself, even if his crew bailed or let him down. And we've said this before. Betty, from what we know, isn't an unreasonable woman. No. She would have, and most people would have done the same. If you'd have gone to her and cried or whatever and said, "Listen, I'm in way over my head. I fucked up. I'll do whatever I can, but I don't know where to go with this," they'd have been able to work something out. But he had he didn't. I don't think he went in there with the sole intention to scam her. But that doesn't.
Somebody who was had integrity in that business, if they were in over the head, they'd bring in somebody else. And they take a bath on the job.
Yeah.
They would, okay, it's your job now, but at least it's taken care of. But for him to actually just go black calm, just gone, just disappear. And then from what I understand, he did this to maybe another person or two, who knows? That I can't wrap my head around that. I can't understand how he could sleep at night.
We have these things, don't we, where we try and judge people by our own standards, and the reason we do that is because there is no other perspective that we have. We have our own way of thinking and our own way that we do life, and we can't conceive of how another person can commit murder or commit rape, whatever. We can't, because it's just not in our reality, and it's not in his reality to do the right thing. Or when you say, how can you sleep at night, he doesn't see himself as a bad person. He doesn't see himself as a predator. He sees himself as the victim in a tragic tale.
So when he goes to pick up Tony, and Tony's too drunk to go to work, and then he goes to pick up, who was the other partner there? Was it Roy or Paul? Or I can't remember.
No, I don't think Roy was involved. I think it might have been Paul.
So he goes to get Paul, and he's too drunk to go to work, because basically they took the money that he gave him up front and got shit-faced on it. And that's the way it was going to be for the bender, however long that lasted. So as soon as he goes to their houses and discovers that, okay, guess what? I don't have my guys today. What does he do? Go home and go to bed? I mean,
No, actually, I know at one point he had his mother go over to Tony's
Are you
and
being
get him out of bed or
serious?
something. No, I'm serious. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, he has his sister coaching him to get more money out of her.
Right.
Jesus. I don't know, man. I just don't understand how somebody could live like that. Just knowing that people hate you for good reasons.
Yeah, I think the reason he's okay with that is because he's not being confronted with it.
Right, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah,
And don't pick up
absolutely.
the phone calls.
Right. And so that's why he tries to come up with things about not paying Betty back. He'll say, "Oh, good job, because of this, Betty's not going to get her money. Good for you."
Does he know that we were running, or CT was running the
no idea.
the thing for Betty?
I mean, it's bad. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. I mean, it would just feed into his own narrative about not wanting to pay her back. It would just give him another excuse.
It would give him a get out clause in his own mind.
Definitely.
Not that he'd be feeling any guilt anyway, but it would mean
no,
that
he doesn't. Right, he doesn't feel any guilt at all.
No.
And even against Betty, saying, "Well, she's been running her mouth online, so
and all the
I'm not sending her anything."
She got out
I
of
couldn't
me.
believe that when he called her a dumbass in the comments once.
Yeah.
That was one of that was. I couldn't. Still now, I'm baffled. It just.
Right.
It just beggars belief. There's just no words to describe it. It's just.
Right.
This guy, man. What is it with this guy? Honestly.
How long do you think, Tiffany, did it take probation to figure out who this guy was?
Oh, I think they'd known all along.
You mean who he was with regard to his infamy?
Yeah, well, not that. I meant who he is and just a generally rotten person. I mean,
but he's not going to be that
fooling
much
anybody.
different than the usual people they're dealing with, I would have thought.
That's a
You
good
got to
point.
remember.
Yeah, he might even look better.
Yeah, you get because obviously it's like I said, we get Lorne tunnel vision, and we see him as someone I can't remember who it was who said he's a caricature of himself. Might have even been fucking me that said it, and it's kind of an interesting way of putting it, really, because that's why we're all interested in him. He's a very unusual character, but as far as they're concerned, he isn't. Because he's just another shitbag, another dickhead, another guy who will never amount to anything, who is a lost cause. And that's generally what they deal with. That's what probation, not always, the people out there that make mistakes and get their life on track. It happens. Sometimes the system works, some people get a grip, some people are scared straight, some people have an epiphany, some people have a spiritual awakening. It does happen. But
Some
most
people
of the time it doesn't.
And wondering what's going on, where we're at. Today is February 5th, which is Lorne's release day. For those of you who don't know, Lorne had just done a 6-month stretch in the federal penitentiary in Fort Dix for a probation violation, primarily his alcohol abuse. Let's see, he was released this morning at 8:51, from what I understand, and he should be home by now. If in fact he
No, he's not going to be home yet, is he?
immediately left. Well, right now it's about 4:00. So if he was released at 8:00, he'd be rolling into town right now, probably seeing all the yellow ribbons and people welcoming him home and things like that. But yeah, he should be home. He should be probably, my guess, like I said, he's probably at his mother's. And the other thing is he wouldn't go to his trailer because he wouldn't have communication devices yet, unless his mother brought him a cell phone or something. So
It's a good point.
I think he's going to go there. I mean, he's not set up to do anything, and I'm wondering where the dogs are. That's my big thing. I want to really figure out where those dogs are, and I hope they're gone.
I'm sure that somebody will have taken those dogs and looked after them. It's probably better than what Lorne has done. Let's just hope that they're okay. Darth Khan, my friend, he isn't allowed online. He's never been allowed online, I don't believe. Just a quick point, Shin. You're going to, no disrespect to yourself, Tiffany, but I don't think you've been a lawyer in your previous life.
I have.
Has
better
his, not that you wouldn't be able to answer this, it's just I've not paid that much attention, which I should have done. Are his conditions now any more significantly stricter than previously?
CT went through that pretty good. I didn't, again, everybody else, it is what it is, but I didn't see anything more restrictive than that he already had with the modifications. Tiffany, did you catch
No,
anything?
I don't, and I haven't looked at them in a while, but
Yeah.
I don't think that there was really anything. I do know he has the breathalyzer that he's going to have
Right, that's right.
for a couple of months.
Right.
But certainly, again, that he still drank when he had it the first time.
Or he skipped the test, things like that.
Yeah, right. He skipped the test because he was drunk, and he
Right.
thought, okay, I'm going to pretend like I was sleeping, and so therefore, in the morning, I'll just tell them that I was sleeping. But then the probation officer called him on it, made him take it, and he was still drunk at that time, and that's why he failed.
What's amazing to me is the story that he goes to his rape class drunk.
Yes.
If you can't quit for that morning,
Right.
I don't know how he's going to get through this. I mean,
He's
We're
not.
gonna do
He's
we're gonna do hopefully this Sunday a stream about Lorne's drinking, about the effect it has on his life, his rehabilitation, his life overall, and our personal sort of take on it as well, and experience through. Because I've done a lot of videos on drinking lately in relation. I find it, because I'm going through like a detox myself. I just find it interesting because it is Lorne's drinking that got him back in prison. I find it incredibly interesting as a kind of where we're at as a kind of society, that everybody's drinking so much when it just fucks your life up. It's quite remarkable. Anyway, we'll get into that hopefully on Sunday. Hopefully my two friends here will be joining me. It'll be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean that's the thing is, turning up drunk to that, it is funny, really, if you think about it. There's a lot of humour there. It's also disturbing, but I would imagine, you think there'll probably be a lot of other people that do the same shit. They're all just, just dropouts, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, can you imagine
Lorne's
that,
just been there
like,
the longest.
can you imagine if you was on Facebook and checked in at rape class?
Actually, I know that the comment, where is it? Somebody made, I think it was, host 13, dude, when you go through what he's going through, I can't see how you would want to be sober.
Mm-hmm.
That is got to be probably the most predominant stressor he has, in terms of trigger, rather.
Yes, it's a great way of putting it. You
Yeah,
can understand it, can't you? You can.
When he gets back, he'll have that little bit of euphoria that he's free and everything else, but that will wear off. And then back to boredom.
But do you know what it is, though? I don't think he drinks to get rid of the guilt. I don't think he has any. He drinks because he doesn't want to face up to his life situation about being a sex offender.
Yeah,
about
and
getting caught, basically.
And have ready-made excuses for the way he acts because of the alcohol.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Can I just mention, Though made a great point before that. We've been talking. It was about Lorne's intelligence or lack thereof, which has been speculated and discussed through us Lornographers for many, many years. And they put Lorne, I can't remember exactly how it was worded, but it was Lorne has a severe lack of judgment, but isn't stupid, which was a good way of putting it. I can't remember exactly how it was worded, but we've always, like, you, Shin, believe he has a certain degree of intelligence. I do. There is resourcefulness there. He can manipulate, but he just seems to have the worst judgment that any human being has ever had on the face of the planet.
Well, it's more like I think it's more like he uses his mental energies for the wrong things.
Yeah.
More like that.
Yeah.
It's more, it's not necessarily
way of putting it. He's kind of. So, can we agree then? If let's just say whatever happened to him to make him go this way or whatever. I mean, that's a philosophical thing, but let's just say that he was who he is, but he applied himself and didn't do what he did, he would have a good chance in life of actually making something of himself because he's got something there. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Is there enough brain power in there to do something decent with his life, is I suppose what I'm asking.
I think he would fuck up somewhere.
No, but
Well,
let's
I
just
think
say he didn't have that side to him where he's a fuck up. That's what I know it's kind of a contradiction in terms, really.
Yeah, I think that I mean, even right now, while he is a fuck up, he's still able to work. So it's not as if he's reliant on someone else to take care of him, or he can't function on his own. He can.
Speaking of work, as I don't think Chafee's going to take him back, or what was it? The other one?
Oh, R.C. Moore.
Yeah, the guy who talked to him on the phone.
Yeah.
Because it seemed to me he was only interested in one thing.
Mm-hmm.
If it was alcohol involved.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he said. He goes, "That's all I think he said something like, "That's all I needed to know."
Yeah.
Yeah, but didn't he get that job because of some kind of condition in his rehabilitation where he has to be employed or something?
Well, that's always it. Yeah, he always has that condition. Period.
Right.
He has to find some gainful employment somewhere. So they don't give a shit whether he's driving a truck or baling hay. It doesn't matter as long as he's doing something constructive, making money, and not becoming a ward of the state and getting public assistance. That's what they want him to do. And be basically contributing members to society. Oh yeah, they do. NCA made a great point. These felon tax cuts are amazing. Up to at some point, because we hired a few, about $10,000 a year, and all they have to do is work 120 days in order to qualify for that tax credit. So
wow, that's a lot of money. Is that for like small companies?
No, for everybody, anyone.
No, but what I'm saying is, if it's a small to medium-sized business who's saving that amount of money, that's huge.
Well, most of the time when you have these small and medium-sized businesses, they don't have enough gross revenues to use those tax credits. But those tax credits can be actually pushed forward. They can be used for, I think, up to 5 years. And you can sell them. You can do a lot of things with them. You can monetize those things. So Lorne's existence would be worth $10,000 to any employer who could keep him employed for at least, I think it's 90 or 120 days. And plus, I'm not sure if it's 10,000. It might be a little less.
Isn't that a bit of a strange situation? Let's look at this logically for a minute, right? With regard to his employment, do we want Lorne to be working? Let's now put your hate to one side. So would it be better? No, but what I mean is put our bias, the fact that we don't like him, to one side. Yeah. Would him being unemployed or employed better for the people around him? So he's employed, he's working, keeping out of trouble to a degree, then he's spending his money on booze. Now, if he couldn't get a job, he'd be raiding his mother's bank account of what little there is there, and he'd be getting money through some other means, and maybe he'd go even further off the rails and start manipulating more vulnerable people. I mean, it's just pure speculation, but do you get where I'm coming from? Because we don't want him to be... We look at him, and for everything he's done and the type of person he is, we don't want people like that to have fruitful lives. We don't think they deserve it, but yet, is it better for society if he's kept busy? Does that make any sense?
Of course.
Yeah,
of course I think that it would be more annoying to everybody if he was on welfare.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But isn't it unfair to non-felons who maybe can't get a job?
They can. No. I don't look at it that way. I think that him having employment is going to be the best option. I think it's funny when he gets in trouble, when he gets demoted because he's speeding through the parking lot, or somebody calls on the how's my driving number because he passed a school bus or something. That's funny. To hear him get reprimanded.
And also, his employers were fucking around with him, weren't they? Sending him to a door in the middle of the winter where he had to walk like for a long time.
Probably. Yeah, that was always kind of the speculation that they were trolling him there too. Everyone's going to know who he is.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a secret, and so we used to always think they're fucking with him. Like they would to give him a trailer number that wasn't there, so he's walking around looking for nothing. Or I want to say he was driving out one day and going past like the guard post or something, and there were a couple of guys there, and they would say kind of like maybe homosexual remarks toward him, type of a thing. I can't remember exactly what it was. But it was like, Lorne, they're completely making fun of you, dude. And you don't even know.
Is that a phone call?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh
it would
my
have been.
God, I would love
It would have
that.
been on there. I think it was just like it was a fleeting thing. I don't even know when it happened.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it was toward the end, but yeah, I mean, so I think there's no question that they're not exactly lining up to be his friend.
No, and it makes me wonder also. I mean, like, couldn't it's fairly larger company than most companies. It's got to be a few employees that Googled his name.
Oh, definitely.
Can you imagine if you worked with him and then you just you didn't know who he was, and then you Googled his name and you were like, oh my
where we get
fucking
around
God.
Like wildfire.
And you were listening to us,
Yeah.
people like us do these fucking weird streams.
Right.
Well, they don't treat them like shit for nothing, right?
Right.
Oh, it's so funny. We're gonna have to start wrapping up, guys. I'm gonna have to go to bed very shortly because it's pretty late here, and you guys in the States pretty early, but here it's my bedtime now.
All right.
I need to get my Jimmy Jams on. I can't believe I just fucking said that.
Sure did.
The reason I said it is because it reminded me of a Simpsons episode where Bart goes, I'll show them who's a kid," and then Marge goes, "Bart, it's your bedtime. I've got your Jimmy Jams."
Tiffany, it could have been worse. He could have gone Star Wars on it.
Star Wars, yeah. It was going to be one or the other.
But I like
yeah,
the
you're
Simpsons.
right. I can't do one without mentioning.
Sorry, Andrew.
Right.
Yeah. So, very quickly to wrap it up, we're hopefully going to do a stream on Sunday, which should be pretty cool. I'll have some Cocoa, Paul. Don't worry.
Can I ask one more question before we wrap it up, real quick? Can I ask Tiffany one more question? I think a lot of people.
I'm forbidding it. We're going to end the stream right now. Goodbye. But yeah, of course. Go on.
I've read some of the comments. I interrupt a lot. I'm sorry. Tiffany, your number is still active, from what I understand. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I need to know. And you don't plan on picking it up, but you will listen to messages.
Of course.
Fantastic. Okay.
Messages, text messages. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll just see what happens.
We've discussed this a little bit. You obviously don't have any motivation or inclination to interact with him anymore like you did in the past. I obviously have made my stance on all the catfishing, shall we say, quite clear, but I have to be honest, there is a part of me that is intrigued. I would like to know, minute to minute, what's going on in his life, because I find it fucking strangely fascinating. So, we're always going to be intrigued, aren't we, to see what's going to happen. I like the mystery as well, though. I used to like the old... I'm not saying that, there's some of the stuff we've not got's not been fun, but it used to really interest me to imagine him sitting at home getting madder and madder at all the abuse he's getting online, and him just going card to himself every 5 minutes. But it's so is there going to be a part of you that's going to want to reply and say fuck you or whatever,
No, I don't think so.
I think once you get a hold of your voice, Tiffany, I think it's lights out for your phone. Your phone's going to blow up.
Well, I'm wondering if I should change the outgoing message to something fun.
Oh my gosh, folks, what do you think she should put in her outgoing message? Any suggestions? I was going to suggest, "Hi, you've reached Tiffany, Dan, and such. We're not here right now," or something like that.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think of something. If you guys think of something too, I mean, because I would love to just have a bunch of ideas if we can get it and just Yeah, put the ghost on there. That would be great.
It's going to be tricky because you want to say something, but you don't want to make it look like you're welcoming him. So.
Yeah, I think he'll leave messages and they'll get more angry. I think they're going to be self-righteous. I've always said self-righteous Lorne's the worst.
Perfect. Justin's got it. There we go.
Casey Armstrong. Oh my God. Yeah, that would be good. Debbie and Liquid Lorne.
Casey Armstrong.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be really funny. I'm the same way as you, Andrew, in that I would absolutely listen to whatever anyone else does with him. I think it's interesting, to hear what he's thinking, how he's blaming everyone else, what he thinks his circumstances are, how he's putting his life back together the best way that he can. Where he is, what probation's doing with him. I don't know that that's ever going to happen again. I think he will get catfish. There's no question, because he can't control himself.
It's all he's got, isn't it?
Well, even when he knows something is for his benefit, or for his safety, whatever, there's something inside of him that just can't stop. So, and that's the person that you hear when he's calling Ramona 3 months later and saying, "But do you love me?"
Yeah. It'll happen.
So
you heard it here.
It will definitely happen. Yeah.
Between now and next Sunday when we're back, we might have some information. We'll find out.
Yeah, you never know. Tune in, guys. There might be some crazy messages, and who were those guys at the trial, and please give me another chance, and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be interesting. But if not, we're still going to have some good stuff to lull over. So it's going to be good.
Man.
And I'm going to have to go to bed now, guys. I could stay and chat all night, but they won't give me the day off work tomorrow. I asked them, I said, listen, Lorne gets out of prison today. I've got to do a stream. Surely you can give me the day off and pay me for it. And they threatened me with a sack, so I'm going to have to go in. Didn't quite get the angle I was coming from. So, guys, Mr. Koala, thank you very much for joining me, sir.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. And Tiffany, thank you as well for joining me.
Thank you so much.
A lot of fun, and it's always great to have you on here. It wouldn't be the same without you.
Thank you.
So, guys in the chat, thank you so much for joining us. We've had a lot of people in, which on this bizarre. I don't know why we're celebrating and getting out. It's not really a celebration. It's more of an anti-celebration.
We're just a bunch of weirdos.
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly. It just dawned on me then. Oh, Lorne's out of prison. There's another sex offender out on the streets. Woohoo! Let's all have a party.
To be fair, we're not sitting partying anymore. So I mean, it's not like the last when we did the when he went in. So I think it's appropriate level of enthusiasm we have.
Yeah, you're right. I'm glad you've put it that way. But guys in the chat, thank you so much. Just a quick goodbye to TCAT Recipes and NCA. Thank you so much. And Duran Comedy was here, who did that awesome video for that on my channel.
Oh, yeah,
me and Shin's adventures in Lorne.
Tiff's in there too. Tiffany's in there too.
She is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
She doesn't say serious laugh this time though, which is good.
Yeah. So guys, thanks in the chat so much. It's been a lot of fun. I'm sure there's other stuff going on today as well. So hopefully we'll see you all back here on Sunday. Probably be around about the same time. So thanks again, and we'll speak to you soon.